Welcome, all of you wine and true crime lovers. I'm Brandi.
And I'm Chris.
And this is Texas Wine and True Crime. Thank you for being here, friends, for this week's episode, Murder in Terlingua. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Brandi.
Welcome back to the studio.
Welcome back.
It's been a few days.
We
had Henry's this past Thursday, which was awesome. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and supporting.
Excellent weather, and
Yes.
the weather's only getting nicer. We're outside on the stage. Please come to Henry's and give me your patronage. Yeah.
And we will be at Henry's again first Thursday of every single month. So come see us. We're outside on the stage. Like Chris said, it's becoming cool. People are outside and fall is almost here. We also have a live show coming up in Fredericksburg. Very excited. November 2nd, we will be at Longhorn Cellars. So very, very excited about that. But we have a guest tonight.
We do.
Will Donahue from We Know Texas Vino decided to come over, share a little wine with us, break a little bread with us. And Will, welcome. Welcome to the official studio.
Thank you. So this is where all the magic happens.
It is.
This is where the sausage is made. Behind the scenes.
There's only been, Will, you might be the fifth person only at this table besides me
It's our
and Chris.
secret bunker.
Yeah, this is it.
I thought I had a secret bunker only, you know?
Oh,
I wanted a layer. I really wanted a true layer that was maybe underground, but that was not in our home reno budget.
Well,
Yeah.
if you do that, make sure you get some minions.
Yes.
yes. Oh, we need a few
You
of
have
those.
to have a couple minions.
Minions and a layer. That's on my Christmas wish list.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, Will, we are going to be talking about We Know Texas Vino this month, your podcast. You, we're going to be sharing some of your favorite wines and wine picks throughout the month. So tell us a little bit about your show, and then we're going to jump into the case.
So I created We Know Texas Vino about 2 years ago. Wanted to talk more about the personal level of these winemakers, how they got into winemaking, what do they do before they started doing this wine stuff. And then we talk about Texas wines, and then right to the end of the show, we actually do a little education. Because, I like knowing that my wine is not pretentious and snobbery.
Yep.
And that's a lot of the wine industry has made that, and wine is not that way. It's great. It's a friend maker. It's, I joke around like you don't hear about bar fights in a winery.
Right. Yeah. You are so true.
Well, and you do
Yes.
say that wine snobbery. It's funny because, even when we started this, Brandi said we're going to do Texas wines. I myself,
You're a snobbery.
well, no, and not so much snobbery, but I just didn't know that. I didn't think there was many wines in Texas, and of course, all you hear, the wines they're not very good. So I thought we had about 12 episodes in us, and then we would, have to go to
Bring
another
in
state.
some other states.
Right.
But that's instantly we found out that wasn't true. But even still, we preach the gospel, and occasionally you will find the person like that turns their nose up at you, like Texas wines.
And I love those people because I actually sit down and talk to them, get them talking about Texas wines. I show them Texas wines, and next thing you know, they're like, "Oh, well, Texas has some good wines."
Yeah, and I think too, the more you talk about it, more people try it, then it becomes more accessible. Because I think even like Total Wine now has maybe half an aisle, dedicated. There are some, but I think they don't stock it because the people aren't necessarily calling for it, and that's kind of our job to get them calling for it, right?
Yep.
But
Exactly.
there is a lot of Texas whiskey on those aisles.
Oh, there is.
There is a lot of Texas spirits,
Yeah, a lot of Texas
whiskeys
spirits.
and vodkas. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
and so we just need to get that wine up there.
Which be
We like those too.
Yeah, we do like those too. We'll probably have a few of those on the show here and there. So, well, we're glad you're here.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I like your show too.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll listen
like
to it
your
maybe
show,
twice.
too. All right, thanks. That's all you have to do to get on our show. Just tell us you've listened once and you're coming over and breaking bread with us.
We did break some bread.
Well, we have some exciting stuff coming up, Will.
Yes.
We've got Grape Fest coming up.
Yes.
So we've got contest
Yes.
of free tickets. And I
Yes.
think we decided for you will be there
Well, I'm definitely going to be there.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
And possibly Sunday.
and possibly Sunday.
Yes.
Okay, so what are your contest rules for Valley View Wine Walk tickets for October 12th?
So this is my first announcement of this because I haven't even made this announcement on my Facebook page.
Ooh,
So
okay.
this is breaking news here, not even on my own podcast show.
Okay.
So this is fine. I like doing this anyway.
Awesome.
So I'll have 2 tickets for the Valley View Wine Walk for October the 12th from, was it noon till 6? Got dueling pianos at the very end. We'll be broadcasting live out there. And I will have 2 sets of tickets. And all you have to do is come find me at Great Fest.
Yep.
Come find me. It's all you have to do. I will be wearing my We Know Texas Vino t-shirt and my hat. And all you have to do is come find me. Now, there might be other people out there that's wearing We Know Texas Vino stuff. They do not count. You have to come find me.
Yes. Yeah. Which you might be at the table.
I might be at the booth.
Maybe at the booth
I might
or
be
walking around.
You need a name badge. I predict
Yeah.
that.
Oh.
I am Will.
I am.
Well, if you here, let's just say this:
Seriously.
of all the people that's going to be wearing We Know Texas Vino shirts,
Yeah.
I'll be the only one that's got a beard.
Okay.
That's my name tag.
Sounds a lot like our shows.
Yes, it does.
What, Brandi has a beard?
Look for a
No,
beard.
I'm
No,
the
Albert
only one-
has a beard.
I'm the only one with a beard.
So not. No.
Sometimes.
I keep mine trim. I keep mine nice and trim. All right. Well, I have the same rules for my October 12th Valley View Wine Walk ticket giveaway. I've got, remember I said, friends, I was going to be announcing 2 separate contests. One of them is a review. So if you write a review, shoot us 5 stars, take a picture, say a few nice words, that gets you a set of tickets. Or we're going to have multiple people. It will be a drawing into those tickets. And then the other is if you find me at Great Fest, and I will only be there next to Will on Friday. So about whenever it opens, 10 to 11, and then we'll be there till what, about 3?
3-ish, yeah.
3-ish? Okay. So you've got that much time. I don't know what I'm going to be wearing.
So essentially, you
I'm
could
not
get
gonna
2 sets
say
of
that.
tickets.
You could, yeah, if you
Yes.
write a review and show up at
Well,
Great
no,
Fest.
so that's 3 sets of tickets.
No, that's 2.
Because with me, too.
That's right. Oh, yeah. And maybe Friday. You come Friday when we're both there.
Yeah.
You might get a little extra goodie from us. All right.
You
Well,
might get a handshake.
yeah. Yeah, not a handshake. All right, guys. Are you ready to jump into this week's case?
We shall.
All right, friends. It's time to sip some wine and talk some crime. All right, so we are going back to 2014, Terlingua, Texas. We are talking about a 50-year-old bar owner, former electrical engineer in Dallas. He moves out, and his name is Glenn Feltz.
Yes.
He moves out to Terlingua to basically take over a bar that his uncle built in Terlingua in the 80s. And his uncle dies in 1989. Glenn decides he's going to take this over. So he comes to Terlingua, Texas, which is way south Texas.
Middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere.
Literally.
I don't know if this is still true, but I heard the closest Target is 250 miles away. There's no grocery store.
Gas
Basically, gas station. So you have to have, at least recommended by the people who live in Terlingua, you should have a specialty. You should offer a service that someone can use, like a mechanic.
Blue collar skills.
Yeah, blue collar skills.
Probably not a lot of people moving to Terlingua. Right?
River guides.
Probably moving
right?
away.
Transients.
Yeah, transients. They have one police officer.
But-
I didn't say one police station, one police officer.
You're,
for
you're tempting
entire
people to go
Terlingua.
rob a bank in Terlingua.
Well,
I don't even know if there's a
There's
bank
not a
in
bank there.
Terlingua. There's nothing there. Okay.
well, and that officer, that sheriff, is actually based out of Alpine at that.
oh,
So that's an hour away.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, they talked about like if you need medical attention, they do have medics that are pretty nearby, but the closest hospital,
100 miles away.
is like 100 miles away, which
Yeah.
is kind of freaky and scary.
That was kind of like when we were going to consider moving to Farmington. That was that hospital that I was going to work at was the only hospital within like a 125-mile radius of a lot of those little small areas
know.
of Four Corners.
That would kind of, honestly, it would kind of freak me out to live in a town that small, to not be able to get medical care. That's like my worst fear, is like something happened to me and I am in the middle of nowhere and nobody can help
That and Texas water bugs,
me. I don't like those either.
cockroaches.
Oh, you're talking about the cockroaches. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you
Yeah.
were talking about
We
the water
call-
bugs that bounces on top of the water.
No.
we were told to call those water bugs as kids. I don't know why, so it stuck with me.
Because they.
Yeah,
I
Chris
I have
calls
no
them
idea
water
why.
bugs. I
I
call
call
them
them water
roaches.
bugs,
Either way.
No, those are called dinosaurs.
Yeah, miniature dinosaurs. Yeah. All right. So Glenn Feltz, February 4th, 2014. the night before, we always say, what was happening and what was our victim doing the 24 to 48 hours before they're found deceased. And what Glenn Feltz was doing was drinking mind erasers. Now, this brought back a whole lot of memories from my 20s.
I thought about that.
Hold on. I want to be on the mind eraser.
I'm sticking with the mind eraser. I'm just thinking of this guy's age
yes.
drinking a freaking mind eraser.
At 50,
like,
yes.
That's what I had like on my 21st birthday.
Definitely 21
at the Tijuana Yacht
sure.
Club on Greenville Avenue.
Oh my God.
I have to admit, I'm
that
47.
place.
I've just heard of this mind eraser today.
Oh, no. Mind erasers were the thing.
It was like that, and the Sex on the Beach was the other popular shot that, but I mean, it's just something like a kid would drink because you look at the ingredients of this drink.
Vodka and Kahlua.
But this is an old school thing. Like he probably like created the mind eraser in this bar.
I don't think he created it.
I was drinking mind erasers in like 1999. Like that's an old.
I know. I don't.
Have you ever seen anyone order a mind eraser in the last 10 years?
This bar
I mean, they couldn't be called something else.
No.
This bar was known for the mind eraser. No, I think it's always been called that. It's funny. It's like a college bar drink. And so, but this old man. I mean, hey, I applaud him.
For those who don't know what it is, it's vodka Kahlua with soda water, and you drink it.
No, make sure to say copious amounts of vodka.
Yeah, and you drink it, but it's not supposed to taste so strong that you can't get it down. It's got to have that.
That's
what that soda water
straw.
does.
So wait a minute.
That's why you drink it through the straw.
Drink it through the straw or snort it through the straw?
No, you drink it. No, snorting. Please, we're not. No.
But I will say,
up your nose.
I'm an old man, and I will drink me some mind erasers.
Shoot, yeah.
If that helps me forget what I just did last night, yes, I'll do that.
Okay, we're going to get mind erasers on Halloween when we're celebrating our show 4-year anniversary.
I can't wait to see the look on the bartenders, the hipster bartender's face when we ask for mind erasers.
Can you get pictures of that and post that?
We definitely
Do you want
will.
that non-alcoholic, and you want the one made out of
non-alcoholic. All right, so Glenn Feltz, February 4th, 2014. So the night before, he is drinking with a friend named Tony Flint.
Yes.
And Tony is also having mind erasers.
Yes.
Now, these guys were partiers.
Yeah.
Glenn's uncle used to throw huge ragers at his house in the 80s and like crazy costumes. I mean, you have to think about this. These people basically lived off the grid. There's no one calling the police for loud noise. Right. There's no one telling you to stop taking in so much alcohol. But like this is where people hung out, was this bar during the day.
60 people that lived there, yes.
Yes, the people, I mean, they were day drinkers.
It
That's what they said.
It was the Cheers of Terlingua?
Yes, it was
the
Cheers.
I mean, there is nothing else to do. If you live there, you don't have a regular job. If you do, you're at your business and then you go to the bar. But if you don't, you're at the bar. Like that's where they felt like family. That's where all of Terlingua hung out.
It was the step up of Terlingua?
It was the step up of Terlingua. And so this guy was like from his uncle to him now taking over this bar. He was really loved.
Yes.
And when they find him dead the morning after the party rager, people are shocked. They're sad. Yeah. They can't even believe it's happened to this guy.
Yep. And it actually tore the community apart, actually.
Yeah.
Because people were friends with both of them.
Yes.
And they didn't believe that Tony would do this, but they believed that, Glenn wouldn't do this either.
Yeah. Well, the night before, guys, they are having drinks and hanging out, okay? Tony Flint, now remember, he's found dead by a worker the next morning. Now, I read in my research that she thought, like, it wasn't uncommon to see someone drunk or passed out on the ground in Terlingua. So she paid no attention to it. Now, she actually just thought it was probably like just someone had fallen asleep outside the bar.
Now, let's point one quick thing out here. This is like an important thing here. So she was there at 4 a.m. to light up the fires to get ready to do the barbecue stuff. And she found him at 8 o'clock that morning.
Yes.
4 hours later.
4 hours.
And she'd already walked by him at least once, if not twice.
That's right. Yeah. So that has been verified.
I think she would have done that person a solid and made sure they were still breathing or something.
Walked on their shoes or something.
That's what they kind of asked her. Like,
aspirated on their vomit. I mean,
were you a little concerned? I mean, I don't know, but
I mean,
but like you said, if
60 people there in town,
this was common. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't recognize that it was
Somebody else's common
her
might not be our
boss.
common. So
Yeah. Yeah. And she didn't recognize it was her boss.
let's not judge.
Yeah. Laying on the ground. So it was. And she ends up they call authorities, and people start coming out and they find him. Well,
and let's make this
Yeah.
known because we
Go
want
ahead.
people to understand how remote Terlingua is.
oh gosh.
The sheriff was in Alpine, Texas, which was 1 hour away. So when she
Yes.
called him, it took an hour for him to get there.
Yes.
And from my listening to other podcast shows and yours, one thing he did that I actually was really proud of him is he actually roped off the place right away, told
Yeah.
nobody to get around this, don't touch it. And
Yeah.
that's, you hear all these officers and detectives touching everything, and he
Yeah.
actually roped it all off.
Yeah,
You
I would
mentioned
I
a
would say
few.
too that would be very easily for a crime scene to become compromised, given that length of time before you'd have authorities show up.
Yep.
Well, and you also have it on the outside of the bar,
Yep.
and you don't know what's happened on the inside just yet. So, knowing that where he's found outside, you really have to rope it off. You're not just roping the building; you're
Right.
roping
Everything.
him and around and the
Yep.
crime scene. So, yeah, they probably wanted to get that nice and tight before people started to arrive. So, you mentioned a few things that I did not know of what they found outside
Yes.
around him. Some
Yep.
scratch mark. Tell me your thoughts on that.
So they found 3 different drag marks. So the first one they found was from the front door to a tree, about, they said, half the length of a football field, which looked like he was on possibly his back when they found him. And then the other 2 drag marks they saw was one where he looked like he was on his stomach and his hands were clawing into the ground while being dragged. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would go very opposite to how this ends up.
Yes.
Because if that was the case, then he would have had to accidentally get caught under something, and somebody didn't know he was there. So let's not. We'll get to that in just
Or
a bit.
him trying to get away.
Him trying to get away, which is kind of what I think.
Pulling
We're
him by his
just
feet.
Yeah.
pulling by his feet is kind of what I thought too. All
Although
right,
you'd have to be pretty strong to do that, I would think.
pull someone by their feet.
Sure.
Well, I mean, Tony was a small guy, buck 25 wet, maybe about 50.
Oh,
And
you
the-
mean Glenn?
Yeah, Glenn.
Glenn was small.
I mean,
yeah,
even so,
Tony
though,
was
somebody
big.
trying to get away though, and trying to, at the same time, somebody trying to.
I don't know. I mean, Glenn Phillips was little. So Tony was like an ex-football player from
Yeah.
college player, big dude.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I'm saying it would take somebody strong. He was a strong guy.
Yeah.
I know. And so that's what's kind of wild with how this case ends up based on the autopsy. Okay, so he's found and he is immediately... They want to know what he was doing the night before. So they find out he's hanging out with Tony Flint. I don't think it's very long until they actually go and talk to Tony, right?
Well, actually, Tony went to the sheriff.
Oh, he did go to the sheriff.
he
Okay.
went to the sheriff. Right? And here's so there was a TV series out there called Badlands, Texas, and I can't remember the lady's name, but she was standing on the edge of the road while everybody was being interviewed by the sheriff, and Tony drives by, waves at them as they were driving by, and they didn't know he was going to the sheriff's station for the interview. They thought he was just driving by and going because he was a river guide.
Right. That's right.
And so he drove by, and they thought he was going to the river. He didn't stop or anything. But later on, they did find out he actually went to the sheriff's station to be interviewed.
And tell them what he knew.
Yeah, and a couple of things that he said how they asked what he was wearing. He said he was wearing a white, he had a red stocking, wearing overalls, and what are they called? Bergen boots.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
big hiking boots, like that. And they actually asked him to bring them everything he wore that night. Just so happens when they found Glenn, there was a red stocking laying there next to him.
Now, he doesn't deny being with Glenn.
Oh no,
And he doesn't deny that there was an altercation between the two of them outside.
correct.
So he says, and tell me if I got this right. He says they're drunk. They're drunk.
Well,
and,
drunk is an understatement, probably.
yeah, and they're outside.
Their minds were erased.
Their minds were definitely erased. And they are outside, and he hits Glenn. Glenn falls to the ground. But he doesn't help him back up, pick him back up. He says he just flips him over to make sure if he gets sick that he doesn't aspirate and he
Right.
vomits and not on his back.
Supposedly.
And now it's time for a wine recess. Okay, guys, we had Picpoul Blanc by Lonesome Vine, and then Chris, you paired it with a dish. So
Paired it with a few dishes.
So
I had to do a little research. We'd had
yes.
one Picpoul before, and for the life of me, I could not remember what we had started with it. But in looking at the characteristics of the wine, so it was kind of bright green apple flavors, high salinity, very crisp. Would you call it dry? Well, I mean, not super dry.
Moderately dry.
Moderately dry.
Yeah, it wasn't semi-sweet.
Yeah. It said it went well with seafoods, oysters, Mediterranean stuff, different fare like that. I chose to make some Maryland-style crab cakes with a lemon aioli.
So yummy.
Yes.
Those were the first attempted crab cakes ever homemade.
When they weren't looking, I cleaned the plate with my tongue.
Awesome. Thanks, sir.
So good.
I thought they came out quite nice. In addition, we had another protein. We had some lemongrass chicken skewers. Or skewers.
Skewers.
Yes.
Skewers. Skewers or skewers.
Skewers.
The verdict's not in quite yet on the pronunciation of that chicken on a stick. And in addition, we did have a couple of cheeses. We had a Manchego and Iberio, as well as some goat cheese, herb goat cheese, and I made some crostinis to go along with that, and a variety of fruit.
It was
It's
so
some
good.
interesting green grapes. We still don't know the name of them.
And can I just say,
like
you
fingers.
put some of your fruit in flower shapes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just so
Go ahead.
cute and manly.
It was a
and
great buy. I got.
amazing.
You can say it was romantic, you know.
I was going to say a few.
Was it cute? Was it cute?
It was just really
That was a cool Burlington buy. My little
Special.
vegetable cutters.
Well, it was so good. And we are going to be doing Will's We Know Texas Vino wine picks. So the first one was Lonesome Vine,
Yes.
the Picpoul Blanc.
It was great. That was a great pick. It was really a good wine. I
It
thought
was
went well with everything.
very good wine. We really,
Perfect
really
for the
enjoyed
weather.
it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It was great.
He has brought multiple ones for us to choose from. So we're
Yes.
going to pick 3 special ones for the rest of the month. So friends, be listening for that.
Yes.
Okay, so now they are at the crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's going to go have an autopsy. Okay, so here's what they find in this autopsy. He has, I think, a dozen ribs broken.
Right.
What the medical examiner would say look more like crushing.
Correct.
He had multiple wounds to the head, more like it's maybe either being hit with something, crushed his skull. The body was in a shape to now. Could a big guy, knowing Glenn was what you said, like 125,
Right.
a very smaller guy.
Very small guy,
Tony Flint
yes.
was a big ex-college football player, big guy. Could he have put some damage on him with his body weight?
Well-
I don't know, but medical examiner didn't think so.
So in the series Badlands, Texas, there was a big rock that had blood on it, and they think that maybe Tony picked that up and actually threw it on him, on Glenn.
Oh, they believed he was able to pick that rock up?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm a big guy also. I could pick up a lot of things, but man, if it's the rock that I thought I saw at the front, I don't know if they actually collected for evidence and put it in the evidence locker or not, but it's a pretty good sized rock. But I mean, being a lineman, those linemen could pick up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think too he could stomp on him,
Yeah.
and crack ribs. Especially you said this guy's very slight in build. I think that easily you crack some ribs, you stepped on somebody or stomped on them, even a head too.
Though, I didn't know he had gone to the police
Yes.
himself.
Yeah. He wanted
And
to be cleared. I mean, if you party with somebody that night that died the next day, I want to be cleared too.
that's right, which makes me think he's innocent.
Yeah.
Because most guilty people don't do that.
Well, I mean, if I was guilty,
That's not
I may-
necessarily true.
I
I think a lot of guilty people
very
would want to go
rarely
straight
do-
there and try to clear
No.
themselves.
Yeah, because you got
Not
some
always.
people.
He probably knowing he was with him the night before.
Not always.
You got some guilty people that want to be injected in the cases,
Yeah.
and they want to be there like through everything. They want to know what's going on, so they can be one step ahead of
Yeah.
the detective. So there are some people who are guilty that inject themselves in.
Oh,
not
no doubt
smart,
about
but
that.
I think-
No
I
doubt
mean-
that they interject themselves in, but that's typically a person directly related, so a spouse or someone that police is going to give some information to. It's not going to be some sort of family member extended typically. and they insert themselves because they are guilty. But
Right.
they already know they're going to be questioned, so it's not a surprise when they are questioned. I'm talking about forthcomingly driving yourself to the police
yes.
station to tell them the story. Usually when that happens in a very short period of time like that, you haven't really come up with your story when you're guilty, in my opinion.
Well, I know, but this is a small town.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good chance the sheriff knows this other guy, and they just kind of have that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And being that he was with him the night before,
Maybe.
I mean, he did have overnight to think up the story.
Well, they end up arresting him.
Yes.
They end up arresting him, and they're actually going to charge him with this
Mm-hmm.
crime. He says, again, he admits to the altercation, but he says he was alive when he left him.
Yeah. When they were looking at the crime scene, they saw the boots that he was wearing all around the body. Short of actually saying, "Hey, I'm here," physically catching you there. That means that says you were there the whole time.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, who had size 14 of those boots at that time in Terlingua at 2 a.m. drinking?
Yeah, and no other shoes really found around that area. So if we go on the theory that we're going to talk about in a minute, and the reason he was found not guilty of this crime, is that plausible? Because then if you are injured in another way and it wasn't Tony Flint, then, I would be curious of the tire marks.
Yes.
And I would also be curious. I tried to look at a diagram from the top, but I couldn't see it. I don't know if you've looked into this or researched it. Buttercup must agree with that statement. Sorry about that. And thank you, Butter. All right. So Tony Flint, like we said, is arrested for this crime. They end up moving the trial out of Alpine into Del Rio, which has the oldest winery in Texas. Did you know that?
Yes.
Have you been there?
Not yet.
I haven't either.
Now, can I say something about
Sure.
that real quick? So the only reason they stayed open for so long is they said that wine was used for medicinal purposes.
God bless
kind
him.
of is.
God bless him. It's all right. So the trial is moved to Del Rio. No, I want to go and visit that winery. So on my bucket list. Actually, the Texas bucket list did go and see that winery in Del Rio, which is how I heard and saw it.
I mean, the guy that stole your idea.
Let's not talk about that guy. All right. So, okay. So they have the trial. They've moved it out of Alpine. This is where it gets kind of a little cloudy for me. So they had done the autopsy and they declared it a homicide when they did the autopsy, which is why Tony Flint is going to be charged because he's the last one seen with them, that he's admitted to an altercation.
His footprints were there.
His footprints were all
He's got
over.
marks on his hand that coincide of being fighting.
Yes. So when you say you've punched someone and they fell to the ground and you just never helped them up, that seems a little, the footprints, the extensive of the fighting of the knuckles.
And also the clothes that they got from him actually have Glenn's blood on them too.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. If you knock somebody in the noggin and they fall down and die, but you just walk away, you're still guilty of killing them, right?
Yeah,
I
which
mean,
kind of...
that'd be involuntary because you wasn't meaning to kill them. But I mean,
Yeah.
then again, if someone's been drinking all night long and you punch them in the head, you're going to rattle some brains up in there. I think.
Yeah.
You're the medical expert here. I'm just a peon.
I mean, a knockout can kill you. Sure.
Well, sure. If he fell, especially if he fell down his head or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just saying it. If you hit,
There were only two people there that night.
He's guilty of hitting him, and also could potentially be guilty of killing him.
Yeah.
Well, they ended up finding him not guilty.
Yep.
And they find him not guilty because the medical examiner said, based on the injuries, and they didn't believe a person could inflict this type of injury.
Right. And they actually called it unnatural marks.
Yes, which could have been tire or drag marks or maybe some burn marks on the body.
I would think if it was tire marks, though, you'd have more organ damage than just ribs broken.
Well, no, the organs were.
Yeah, they actually said that the organs were torn internal organs and brain bleeding, which, I mean, I think the lady who found him said that his head was crushed.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if, unless you're dropping a rock on somebody's head, I don't know if anybody's strong enough to punch somebody in the head to crush their skull.
Yeah.
That will erase your mind too.
Yeah, would erase your mind too. Yeah.
That'll erase everything.
Yes, permanently
Tony,
deleted.
but people in this town also were friends with Tony Flint.
Yes.
And I think this is where, they said like this whole event changed their community.
Oh, yeah. Well, because also Glenn helped out in the community. He helped out people a lot.
Yeah, he did.
He gave food to the homeless people that will come into town. He will give people jobs. Everybody has worked at La Kiva at least either for 1 week or 5 years.
Yeah.
So people were really close to that. And then, of course, you have Tony who comes into town.
Yeah.
A transient who comes into town to be a river guide and makes friends also.
That's right.
It's kind of hard. It's a torn decision. A lot of people were upset about it.
Yeah. Well, and there was question of whether or not he actually did it. I mean, he said he didn't do it. He admitted to the altercation. He admitted to all of those things. And I don't know, is that why you come forward? Because your footprints are going to be found? I mean,
Yes.
He ended up getting in the car and driving home.
He knows that
we know he drove home
he's going to
that
be
night.
a suspect
Or drove wherever he was staying
because,
at a house.
like you said, footprints.
Yeah.
He was there at the scene.
But here's the deal. They said that the autopsy showed that he looked like maybe ran over by a car.
Yeah.
Well, what if Tony ran over him because they've been drinking all day? And we all know that drinking while driving is not a good thing. We're not going to have a good time.
Right.
And what if he accidentally put his truck in reverse, ran over him, not knowing, and then drove off?
True.
Well,
then would you be considered murder then at that time too?
Manslaughter, I would say. Mm-hmm.
Involuntary
Manslaughter, because it's not an actual, you're not intentionally
consciously doing it.
But, and again, we don't know, but it's like, could one person have done this? Medical examiner says no way. There's no way a person could have inflicted. I think the organs was a big piece of like why that decision was made, and also to break 12 ribs.
Well,
I
want to say, I've seen some people get in some street fights before, and I've seen some damage done to people.
Just fighting.
With
fists.
Breaking ribs. If you're sitting there punching somebody in the ribs quite a bit, yes, it can happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know about punching in the guts a lot. Does it tear organs? Can it?
Somebody that's little like this, sure, by a big old guy, I would think easily, yeah.
Well, they found him not guilty, and the medical examiner said that it looked like he was probably run over by a car. So then my question would be, which is why I was trying to get the aerial view of where this was and where his body was actually found in contrast to the front door. Would a car have passed through where he's found?
So the last time I was in La Kiva, and if you could picture it with me, okay? So you know how some places where you're out in the country and you pull in the parking lot's dirt.
That's right.
And you pull up right into it. Well, this place, if you can picture it, there are 2 trees on each end of the lot with big rocks on the end of it.
Okay.
And so you pull in between those like the parking lots. And of course, everybody who's living in a little small town will just pull in any way they want to.
Right.
Perpendicular, parallel, diagonal, however they can get their vehicle in. So what I'm thinking is, and again, I have not been able to see aerial views of this place. Also, what I'm thinking is Tony had backed in somewhere, and he had drug.
So you think it's him?
Yeah,
you do. Okay.
I think he actually ran over him, not knowing he ran over him.
Okay.
I really do.
Yeah.
There 60 people in Terlingua, 99% of those people are already at home in bed at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Because
that's the thing we have to remember with this area and like who's out and who's with them.
The only things that are out are deer, snakes, and spiders.
Yeah. And it's pitch black out there. And it's dark out there.
Unless deer know how to drive all of a sudden.
Yeah.
If that happens, we're going to be in deep trouble. Yeah. But 2 o'clock in the morning, they're out in the parking lot having a fight. They're angry. He's getting in his truck after dragging him a little bit. And how I envision it from all the articles I read and seeing the video, he kind of drug him up to the truck a little bit and set him there. And then he got in the truck and drove off. Well, when he pulled forward or even reverse, he inadvertently hit him.
Yeah. Could be. We have no idea. The medical examiner said that one person could not actually do this. They believed he was crushed by something like a vehicle. We know they were together at least until 2 a.m., right? But we know she comes to work at 4. So
he's been dead for at least 2 hours.
Right. So, and then what common sense tells you, could someone, okay, because he would have to still be unconscious laying there from the original punch. And one thing I find very interesting that they said was they kept using the word accidentally run over, run over by accident. So this tells me, do they think it might have been Tony Flint that ran him over by accident, but they can't say, it wasn't on purpose, right? Because then that's a totally different charge. You're not going to probably just get not guilty. And so I find that really interesting as though nobody would have known it happened. Almost like it really truly was an accident. But do you think it's interesting that they kind of left it at that? I mean, he's already found not guilty. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't charge him again.
Yeah.
So how do you even investigate this? And it's Terlingua and the resources, and it's one person. And so I don't know how much effort they put in afterwards, right? He's out, he's done. And that was pretty much it. They just called this they chalked it up to an accident.
Yeah. I, from everything I've read about it and I've watched about it, they pretty well, once they saw who he was and all that, and then said he was not guilty. I mean, they pretty well kind of opened the book and closed the book and walked away from it.
Yeah,
now, there are still a lot of people there. And in fact, actually, I was trying to find the article I actually read the other day about this. There are people still believe that Tony is so guilty of this, and they wish they can get another trial. But, I mean, we're now 20 years from that incident.
Yeah.
You're not going to find any
10
more.
years.
10 years. Sorry.
Okay.
Where did he end up at?
He's gone.
You mentioned he was a transient, so he just probably disappeared after this.
Probably disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean, I would
no
too.
Idea.
I don't blame. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, 10 years since this all happened, you're not going to find any more evidence anymore.
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, and I think, and then again, they've already tried him, right? And found him not guilty. So they can't arrest him for murder again. So, I mean, they can. That's why I think there was probably some suspicion that it might have been his vehicle or whatever, but maybe not on purpose.
Yeah. In fact, here's a really good thing right here that people are saying in Terlingua. They said that Tony Flint got away with murder.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some people, because you're right. Can someone stomp on someone and kill them? I mean, yeah, this guy was probably 150 to 200 pounds heavier than this guy.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So I would assume then he could probably inflict some pretty serious damage, but I don't know. I know that some people came forward and said that Tony Flint was a really nice guy, but then you had other people saying he was kind of a little bit of a hothead.
Especially when he got drinking.
Especially when he was drinking. And so, can you get to that point and just... I don't know.
There are people out there who are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. But, again, this was it's such a small area where this happened and such a big story. Texas, like you said, there was a show made after it. Texas Monthly wrote a couple of articles about this case. Pretty wild stuff. But it just kind of goes to show, like, he was living in Dallas in the big city and he wanted to go and, like, he would go and visit his uncle's bar. And then when his uncle dies, he wants to take it over and he starts giving back to the community and basically does everything that his uncle did. His uncle was really loved and liked in that town. And he kind of wanted to carry that going. And it's kind of fun to think about this area and how small it really is. But people would stop from all over and visit this bar. And it became like a touristy area for people to visit. But this is where literally the locals went every single day, which is so kind of wild to me.
Here's a little fun thing that I actually read about Glenn. He actually started making money from La Kiva, and he took a trip. He'd never been on vacation before. Went to Europe, to Wimbledon, and got so excited about tennis over there that he actually came back and was going to build a tennis court.
Oh, you know what? I think I read that. That's right. He was.
I
He
mean,
was.
a tennis court out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
It'd probably become a pickleball court
Yeah,
now.
pickleball.
Now it'd be pickable. Exactly.
Oh man.
Oh, well, interesting case.
Yes.
I might have to just go see Terlingua, Texas soon and look at the Milky Way. Because did I say that earlier?
Yes.
That is, yeah. I
think so.
I like the stars, and you can't really get them out here.
And it's really cool, actually, when you drive through Terlingua, you get to see the ghost town also. So there's two parts of that town. So one is the ghost town part where everybody used to live at, and they moved away from that.
Okay.
And so you get to see the old people were buried out there during mining of the mercury and stuff like that out there.
Interesting.
It's a pretty cool place.
Well, I'm sure we have some listeners in Alpine and Terlingua and areas of that. So if you have some interesting information about this case or just want to share something about where you're at in Terlingua, please reach out and tell us. But Will, always a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, Chris, thank you for a delicious meal.
Certainly.
And thank you for the wine.
Thank you for the meal.
You are certainly welcome,
Yes,
sir.
it was so good, honey. All right. Until next time, friends, stay safe, have fun, and cheers to next time.
Cheers.